So again, hi everyone, good afternoon, and welcome to our webinar today. So by the way, I'm Hazel. I'm actually the product specialist from Wordtext Systems Incorporated, and we are the authorized distributor of cows in the Philippines. So to give you an overview, Viri is actually a rendering software owned by cows, and that is widely used globally because of its high quality results and performance. So today we'd like to share with you some glimpse of our product, which is V-Ray, and we are joined by Kiaos together with Alexander Burmov, our territory manager, and also Mr. Han Shilin, our applications engineer from Kiaos, to describe and help you to show you more about how V-Ray can create your world. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Alex Burmov to give you the glimpse about Tiaos. So hi, Alex.
Awesome. Okay. Let me just start real quick. With small, just like Hazel and Joshua mentioned, just a small presentation of Kales. And as you can see from this first slide, welcoming you to Kales, but to a brand new one actually, because what happened is a little bit earlier, actually, end of 2020, this shaky year we had, we started off giving hints out to our clients and to our partners about rebranding all over our company, our name, our products and services, etc., etc. And basically, this is already a fact today. So it's a bit of a post factum that you're going to see some of the stuff you've probably already seen, but nevertheless, we'll also show you a little bit, from the back of what we've been cooking back in the past in the kitchen on why we look like this today. So before we go into all of that, I'll just like to play a quick video for you that is going to give you an idea of where we stand currently, with all of that branding. Just let me know if you. Okay, so what we're basically going to cover today is who is Scouts Group, and what we're all about and what we fill our date with. Then we're going to go a little bit into why we needed to rebrand, and then a bit more information about our company and product names and how these have evolved from what we had before to what we have currently. Then some insights into the ideas behind the logo designs of the company and the products as well. And at the end, I'll just show you a little bit of what we call our brand in action. It's actually related to that video that I just played to you. All right, jumping right into it on who we are. A lot of you probably have heard of us, but still, we do consider ourselves patrons of those who are breathing and living visualization with their surroundings. We've gone a long way actually since 1997, when the company was actually established by a couple of people, Vlado and Peter. And those guys were actually roommates in college when the first initial idea of the V-Ray technology was born. It was not even called that at the time, but nevertheless. And then moving forward, like about 20 years later, we're actually becoming one of the companies who have been honored with Oscar for overall technical, contribution to motion picture. Was quite an exciting moment for Chaos. I was not even in the company at this point actually, because I've been with the company a bit later than that, maybe a couple of years, 3 years back. But then I also did watch the technical Oscars and was pretty excited about that company that is going to become my future place of work, right? And so far, we've been sending toll and proud for 25 years now, 24 actually, I'm sorry. And we've become quite multinational, multicultural. Well, hopefully at some point also, multi-holders of other Oscars as well, right? Okay, and here on the slide, you can see just a little peek of our different locations and beautiful scenery around the world where we call home. While our primary HQ is again in Sofia, Bulgaria, where I am currently, and it's morning. It's not that early. So then we also got a location in LA, in United States, and in Prague, where we're actually having a significant team developing the Corona products in the Czech Republic, and then South Korea as well, with Seoul and Tokyo in Japan, small office there as well. Here on this one, you can actually see those different types of groups, representing like number of our employees, and then the partners, and then like how many clients and authentic users we've got with Vira and other products and services from Kels. But what we try to do here is actually we're considering all of those, mashing them together, and just considering this our international global country without any borders, even though we're just represented to separate locations, but still, with those 100 and over K of users, they're literally in every country in the world, which is really, really cool. We're very proud of that. Then what we do, naturally, we are involved in many major industries, where Viri is applicable and used nowadays. Back in the past, of course, not sure if you know that, but primarily Viri was developed for architecture and for interior design. But that does not mean that we're ignoring, other industries like gaming and VFX and automotive industry. So we tend to nowadays also put a lot of accent on those and develop VRA to be compatible with DCCs involved in those industries. So basically the focus is to visualize anything and everything and everywhere, and to broaden our horizons, not only with visualization, but with real-time rendering, cloud rendering, and much more. But I guess Sam is going to give you a little bit of that on his part of the presentation later on. But again, even though we are within all those industries, initially we started with architecture, and architecture is pretty big. That's why we're always trying to think big when it comes to architecture, because you do need to visualize such huge, buildings or interiors, etc., etc. And we try to be involved in each and every process on the way, to visualize one-on-one, and to have things look as real as possible when you're building or you're constructing, etc. Of course, the interior as well. And here the idea being that we try to light up everything that you can actually imagine, so that you can actually feel realistically within the space even before you start practically implementing the real thing. But again, Han will show you later in more details about how exactly do we achieve that, especially with the new versions, right? Then here's just a quick snapshot of a few of our local clients that we have all around the world. Of course, many of these are known names within the AEC industry, but also within VFX and also automotive and film, etc., etc., and gaming too. These guys probably most of you are quite acquainted with, because these are local clients specifically represented or initially, who are from the Philippines. Some of these even I did not know, but Hazel did tell me about them. Then also just another quick video from me, which is probably my favorite about related to AEC. I'm not sure if Joshua played it in the beginning before you all joined, but nevertheless, let's just have a look. Oh, okay. I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I do. And since we're talking about construction, I'm sorry if you are hearing some abrupt noises on my side because I've got this neighbor who is doing construction currently. The risk of working from home, but it is what it is, right? Okay, so getting into very quickly into the next part of my presentation is basically to give you guys a little bit of an idea on why we did rebrand. And as you can see here on this slide, on the left of the slide, we got the company logo, the old one, Chaos Group, and all of the different logos and names for our products before we did rebrand. And as you can see, a lot of these products they're quite different from each other with different shapes of the logos, and they're all black and white. And it's really, really fair to say that actually, the previous family of logos actually look like more like distant cousins, supposed to being part of one of the same family, one of the same vendor producing those. And Most have been developed in isolation from each other, not as part of one and the same product line, or portfolio, I should say. And then each one of them has been managed independently for updating, etc., etc. Uh, so basically, this is like the primary reason for us to actually kind of align them all together and make them convey the essence of our connected ecosystem of products, right, at house, and that's what we were seeking at heart. um, Basically, also here, another reason, like the major one, probably this slide speaks for itself, but as you can see, these are all very, very popular these platforms or brands that are related to our industry. And when you mash them up all together, it really looks like a sea of darkness and seamless. Like you can't really tell part one from another unless you are very very focused on just one of those. So the idea here is as part of our rebranding to do a little bit of standout and pop out from all of that darkness, right? Basically, how we started all of this, probably the process started about 2 to 3 years back, as a full process up to today. And we started off with saying, okay, so we got to do something first about the company name and respectively on the company logo. And we transformed that. It's pretty evident from, the transformation, but it used to be Kel's Group, right? And it used to sound very corporate, and it used to sound not that approachable and a bit, a mouthful of a company to pronounce. Also, a funny fact is um, I've never in my stay with Kel's Group, but even before that, heard from partners, from clients, or from friends and relatives to actually refer to the company as Kel's Group. And a lot of people in Kel's do actually realize that at that time as well. And everybody's been always referring in short or like a sweet name to Kel's Group as Kel's. So then we said, okay, so why not we just basically get rid of the group thing and go just for Chaos? And then the other thing about it is that now being having this click name, a short and sweet name, we can actually make it become the heart of the company and use it for various purposes, opposed to just use it as a company name. um, and basically what we did after, and this is something that marketing told me to be very specific about and share with you, is that we actually decided that we're gonna take the CALS, the company name, and use it as a tag for all of our products. And the idea here being, by tagging our products, we help you to actually relate more easily to each one of them, because a lot of people do know Vire, for example, or Corona, or any other product standing on its own, but you would never, relate it to CALS, the vendor, the company itself. A lot of times I would also have this different situation where I'm talking to somebody, being that a friend or even a potential partner or a client, and I'm mentioning CALS and CALS and CALS and CALS Group, and there I see the blank, expression in their eye. And at one point I realized those people don't know what I'm talking about. So I mentioned Vire and see them light up, and they're like, oh no, okay, I know Vire, I know this company. I'm like, no, 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 that's just the product, right? But that's the idea here to tag our products and product logos, so that at one point they become one and the same thing, from the same product line, and kind of get them in one place and relate them to our company. And here is just a very quick and very good example. Like in the first column on the left, you can see the old names, of the company and each and every different product, and they look very weird. Like they're not, coming from the same place. But when you tag them, you now have in the middle column, you have like consistency here, right? And a little bit about the logo design itself. As you can see, these are all the new logos for the different products from the portfolio, initially Vire as well, but then you can recognize easily other stuff like Phoenix and like Corona as well from this one, but they now have, the same shape, kind of follow the same design and theme and style, so that we can even mash them up together, but they would look from coming from the same place. So basically, very very clean symbols and unique on its own, with its own color, but still part of the same portfolio. Uh, some of the firm favorites that we started off when we were doing this rebranding were naturally Vire and then Phoenix and also Corona. And I don't know how many of you actually have been, using Vire for how long, but back in the past, like in the early 2000, um, the initial colors of the logo were actually black and blue. So this kind of gave us the full process of, okay, let's just stick with what people are used to, from back in the past when we originated, the logo of Vire, and just stick with the blue. Then Phoenix, similarly, representation of fire, mostly what people are using it for most of the time in many cases is yellow, right? So, and yeah, Phoenix initially also started with the color yellow, so we're kind of back to our origins, from a design, logo, marketing perspective, but still we are, rebranding anew in 2021. And then here also, just to a little bit pick from back in from the kitchen is like how much time did it took us maybe like for each logo and how many iterations with different stakeholders before we get to the final logo, for example, in this case in point for Cal scans. It just took a lot of time, and iterations, but at the end we reached the verdict on this one. Then basically what happened in the end is our Chaos universe, right? And our world. Uh, and most future products will be released under project names until their eventual launch with their name and icon and the tag from Chaos. But at the end, everything, even introducing new product, will look similar to that, and add to the portfolio. Even other, if I may call them entities, like Chaos Academy and Labs and the partner logo, and even very, certified trainers do now have their own logo stack with the Chaos logo, and basically, looking at everything consistent and seamless. The Chaos logo itself, being now very, very bright, very strong, and friendly at the same time, because the red color could be a bit invasive and obstruent, but we try to combine it, with this white, or switch it white to red, and now it's a little bit more friendly. And interesting fact about developing the logo itself is not only it's not with capital letters now, but actually the C is following, the tilt of the Earth at 23.5 degrees angle on the axis. Just like as you can see here, and the basic idea behind that was, to it's a little bit like a nod to the chaotic evolution of the world, right? And the way that this tilt made our planet look today, and this wonderful place it is, and something to relate to. And then also the other thing about the Cal's company logo is that now we can definitely switch between different colors that we've dedicated for each of our products from our portfolio, so that whenever you are combining, from a design or visual perspective, our products with our company logo, so they are, aligned and sync with color. Basically we went from this into this, right? So difference is pretty significant in a positive favor. And then also what we thought, like, why not extend a little bit on that with that long project we've been pushing for a few years back to today, is just to maybe do a little bit more on top of rebranding and logo design. Is we decided also to create a so-called 3D worlds for each of our product brands, and basically, like here is the Cal's V-Ray logo, with the different aspects of rendering and the industries that we're involved in around the world. Then also Chaos Cosmos, our 3D readily available for rendering material library with all of those different materials, and objects. Of course, Chaos Scans, representing perfection on rendering with the different materials and surfaces that we can actually digitalize from physical materials. Corona, of course, with the clarity that it provides, and of course Phoenix, with all those different forces of nature that is being used for simulations. Vantage, of course, our standalone application that Han is also going to go over a little bit later, and seeing clearly 360 degrees all around the place. Our cloud, rendering solution, also got its own world now. And basically, to wrap up things, not take much of our core part of the presentation is just going from this darkness again, and what we have achieved, especially our marketing, they contributed hugely on that, is going from this seamless darkness, and not being able to stand out, from now being able to provide a little bit of pop-up and color and brightness, and at the end Vira is all about lightening things up and visualizing these, in a colorful way, just like the real world. So, yep, I hope this gave you a little bit of insight into, what we've been doing back in the kitchen, rebranding, and why you're seeing all those different colors now, and different names, for the products and for our company as well. So, thanks a lot for listening through, and yep, back to you guys.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. I'm very excited to walk you through all the great new features that now in Vue for SketchUp and the Chaos Vantage and the Chaos Cosmos. Over the next part of the webinar, we're going to talk about some pretty exciting stuff. First, like here, we are introducing real-time visualization throughout the entire design process with VRevision. We've got a new feature that are going to light your scenes automatically, and it's called light generator, and the name is LightGen. And we have made a lot of improvements to sun and sky system, and it works especially well when sunrise and sunset. And we added layers to various standard materials, and now making specific materials like coating material and the fabrics are becoming very easy and fast. And we add some randomness features to textures, and the materials can add an exciting feature. It's called Light Mix. It allows you to tweak and fine-tune your lighting scenario without re-rendering the whole image. And then, of course, we will talk about Chaos Cosmos and Chaos Vantage. We will see what is Cosmos and Vantage. And at the end of this session, we can have a Q&A part. So feel free to share your ideas in our chatting panel. Okay, we all know that SketchUp are a very intuitive 3D modeling software, and Viri can actually take any design and sort of bring it to life. And just run you through some kinds of projects that you may working on. Maybe you're doing interior design, like bathroom or kitchen or home office, and or maybe you're building design houses and or larger scale projects. Really, SketchUp and V-Ray come together can turn anything into a full realized work of art. And V-Ray is a photoreal render solution. So it's kind of like taking photos of things that don't exist before. It's the closest way you can get. It's the closest thing you can get before your project is actually being built. So we look at the ways that people are using rendering. We often get into a design process that takes the most of our time, maybe most of it design part will take 80% of your time, and then you take 20% of time to render. But what if we can bring real-time visualization to that 80%, where you are constantly designing and then render? The thing is that we want to make sure that we have the full spectrum covered and there wasn't a gap between design and the render. So in V-Ray 5 for SketchUp, we are introducing this. It's a continuous spectrum, so you can use real-time technology all the time when you're designing, and at any time when you want to render a photoreal image, you can use V-Ray to render. So the entire process of the visualization is fluid from start to finish. For example, V-Ray Vision. Here you can see on the left is real-time rendering using V-Ray Vision, and on the right is photoreal render using V-Ray. And when you're working with SketchUp, usually it looks like that. It's not very realistic. And now with V-Ray Vision, you can see your project like this, with all your lighting, all your textures, materials, and at any point, if you are satisfied with your design, and you can stop the real-time rendering and start to do a photoreal render, and take the image to another level like this. So this is the idea about real time, all the time, and the rendering at any time. Here, there's a short video I can show you. On the split screen on the left, we have SketchUp. We can build models, extruding things, and every operation can reflect real time. On the right is our V-Ray Vision window. And you can add materials, add textures, and also you can add some entourage, like you can see it. You can see I can add trees like this, and other kind of entourage like furniture or people, just like that. And it's all real time. Immediately will reflect the result on V-Ray Vision window. And you can just change the sunlight direction on the fly, and you can even make some animations. You can export the animation, and you can walk in your SketchUp model real time like this. You can just go around and then experience everything, and you can export an animation like that. And the animation exporting speed is very fast. So here is some details about V-Ray Vision. I can show you. When you want to start a V-Ray Vision, you use your SketchUp model and click the icon here like this, and then it will launch the V-Ray Vision. The whole process is automatically, it transfer your sketch model into a real-time model. You don't need to worry about the UVW map. You don't need to worry about light baking or something. It's all happening automatically. And on the left corner, we can have some menus that controls, for example, like this. This is a live link menu, and you can do a live link, so every operation in SketchUp can reflect real time on this window, or you can just temporarily break that live link and just walk in the view revision, just walk looking around in the view revision. And here is the navigation mode. You can use ASWD to walk in your model, or use flying mode to see the whole model. And also you can, here, like this. And also you can assembling your model. If you do a hide and unhide operation in your SketchUp, the result will reflect immediately in the revision window. Okay. Next. This one is the light generator. This is a really amazing feature in Verify for SketchUp. Imagine you have your project designed, but now you want to render your project, but you are not sure what kind of lighting scenario you want to use. And usually you will tweak the sun angle and try to find a beautiful background image. But now in Viri, we do it automatically for you. Here, this is the Viri light generator. You can choose what kind of project you're doing. We have exterior and the interior. You can choose one of them. And then you can choose if you want to use the sun and blue sky system, or you want to use an HDRI, which is an image background with lighting information, so you can see the cloud in the sky. And then you choose how many styles you want to use as a background. Then you can choose variations that will automatically rotate the background, sun and cloud and sky. So it will gives you different thumbnails like this, and you can immediately choose your favorite one. And when you choose that, all the parameters will immediately bring back to your model, and then you just need to click the final render button. You don't need to tweak anything. You don't need to add the sky background image. You don't need to tweak the exposure, and you can get your final render. It's all happening automatically. There's a short video you can see here. I'll choose HDRI mode and choose different styles and different sky angle, and then I would click generate to generate hundreds of thumbnails, and it looks like this. Now I'm starting to generate different thumbnails. So you can see it only takes a few seconds to generate one small thumbnail, and I can load the result that I generated before. There's hundreds of small thumbnails, and I can choose my favorite one. When I click on that, the background image and the parameters will bring back to our model. And then I can render it. I can render the thumbnail to a big final rendering image. So I can quickly test different lighting scenarios. It's very efficient than never before. Okay, here is the improved sun and sky system. On the left is the old sun and sky system. You can see the color is kind of yellow, and on the right is the new. It's called improved sky, and you can see the color is more like an orange, and especially when it in sunrise and sunset. Here I think it's a short video. We can do a compare. This one is the old sun and sky, and if you want to change it into the new algorithm, you go to the Viri asset editor and choose the light and select your sun, and in the drop-down menu, we can find a new sun and sky system. Here is the drop-down menu. We can choose improved. So the result is like this. This is the old one, and this is the new one. You can see it's much more beautiful. It's called improved sun and sky. And this one is a very important feature. You know, in our real life, we have these kind of materials, like varnished wood. If you have a wood floor and you want to paint a varnish on top of that, so here is a question. If I want to make a material that called varnished wood, actually, how many materials I'm making? I mean, at least I need to make two materials. So one is the wood floor, and I need to make another high reflective layer. It's the varnish on top of everything. So before, I actually need to make at least two materials, and use one method called Viri blend material to blend these two together. It's a kind of complicated, and the rendering is a kind of slow. But now, in the new version of Viri 5, we added a varnish layer. It's called coat layer, and make it and add it into Viri standard material. So now it's very easy. You just open your Viri standard material and just in the drop-down menu, just bring up the coat amount, and your wood floor will become highly reflective. The coat layer is on top of everything. So you can see here on the left is the coat layer off. It's not very reflective. And on the right with coat on, you can see we have a vanish effect on top of your desk. And also, the same thing happens to fabric material. We add a new sheen layer that can works very similar to the coat layer. You just need to bring up the sheen glossiness and the sheen color, and now you can easily and quickly make a fabric material without using the Viri blend method. You can see the difference. Left is sheen off, and the right is sheen on. And randomness. Randomness is very important for us to making photorealistic renders. So in real life, everything is random and with some artifacts. But in the rendering, we can see, this is without any randomization, and we can add some randomness to the placement of our floor texture, and then add some randomness, brightness randomness to the color of that floor. And here's another very interesting example. I want to make a leather material, but if I tiling this texture, it's repeating. It's very obviously, it looks fake. But in the new Viri 5 for SketchUp, we have this feature called stochastic tiling, and it will automatically rotate the texture and blend them together to remove this repeating automatically. It looks like this. You can see here is without randomness. It's repeating, it's very ugly. And then we click on the randomness feature. It removes that repeatedness and fix that tiling effect. And here is a very exciting feature called light mix. I will show you in a real-time demo. Here on my desktop, I have this Sketcher model. You can see here. Here is my Sketcher model. So how can we enable the light mix feature? This is very important. You only need to add one render element. Here is view panel, and here is called render element. I'll delete the old one. You click on the render element panel and add something called light mix. After you're adding this light mix render element, you can just do your final render. And the result is like this. This is amazing. Let me show you. Here we have our rendering result. It looks like a normal rendering. It looks like a normal image, but actually with light mix enabled, it stores the lighting information separately, and I will show you how. I can close all the light. I can only open the very dorm light, which is the skylight outside the window. And I can open other lights separately. So it's amazing. For example, I want to take the light intensity and the light color of this light. I think is this one. So I will choose this one, and I will click on the color. You can see we have this color temperature slider. I can bring it to about 3000 Kelvin, so it's nice and warm. And the color intensity, I can bring it up, for example, like 2 or 3 or 5. So it's becoming brighter. You don't have to re-render the image. You can tweak any of the light intensity and the light color. And imagine, it saves you a lot of time. You can just, put some white light in your scene, and after that you can tweak the color, whatever you want. It completely changed the workflow with this light mix technology. So it's my favorite in Verify. Okay, now I'm going to show you guys a short video. It's about Chaos Cosmos. Okay, as you can see in the short video, Chaos Cosmos is our smart asset library. It contains all kinds of entourage assets models you will use during your design process. For example, if you have a project like this and it's completely empty, you cannot directly render it as your architectural visualization image. But now, if I'm doing a direct render, it's completely empty, it's not usable. And so I will click this icon to open up the Chaos Cosmos asset library. It's an online asset library, and it contains all kinds of models you will need. The categories is like this, and you can see furniture, accessories, lighting, vegetation, vehicles, and I can even choose different categories by the type of your space. For example, I can choose office, then it will list all kinds of things you will use in the office scene. You can see the light, you can see the desks, chairs, and here I want to add some vegetation, of course. I want to plant some trees in this empty scene. And for example, I will choose this one. I can click download. You only need to download it once. Then it will store it in your local machine. And you can see the details. And now, and you can add some trees, grass, desks, chairs, and people. And now I can do a view revision preview. I click on the view revision icon. You can see immediately it automatically transfer the SketchUp scene into a view revision scene. And the Chaos Cosmos asset is optimized for SketchUp and the Vision and any other applications that are using V-Ray. For example, in SketchUp, you can see a tree model consumes a lot of memory. So in SketchUp preview, we can only see the silhouettes of this tree. But when we click Visual Vision, you can see the full tree rendered with details. And you can see here, I have two. This is interesting. I have two camera positions. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this. It's the native SketchUp camera tabs. And with two different tabs, you can create an animation. So here, when you click View Vision, it automatically generates two positions of your camera and it generated an animation. So I can hit play button. You can see the camera movement, and I can export the whole animation and choose a location to save it. And then you can see the exporting is very fast. It only takes less than 1 second to export each frame. So very quickly, I can get this short animation as a preview. Now we can see the result of that little animation. Visual Vision is really good for these kind of fast previews. It's all happening in real time, and it's much better than the SketchUp viewport. And the Chaos Cosmos is included in these kind of Chaos products. Of course, we have SketchUp have the Cosmos, and you can find it in 3ds Max, Revit, Rhino, and you can use it in Chaos Vantage 2. I will show you. And also, you can see different models, different vegetation, people. We are cooperating with some world-leading partners, content makers. These are famous asset provider like MaxTree, Human 3D, VisPark.
Welcome to Chaos Vantage.
And this video is introducing Chaos Vantage.
Welcome to Chaos Vantage, an all-new way to explore detailed 3D scenes in high-quality real-time. Chaos Vantage can handle scenes of any size, even the most detailed cityscapes. It's effortless to set up too. Use a live link with 3ds Max, or simply drag and drop your V-Ray scene file to start exploring in real time without any model preparation or light baking. Changes you make in your Max scene, like changes to lights, cameras, and materials, are all updated live in Vantage. Set up and save as many views as you'd like, and automatically transition between views for powerful interactive presentations. Chaos Vantage is the fastest way for you to explore your 3D production scenes in high-quality real-time. Get started today.
So what is Vantage? Vantage is our standalone real-time solution. And unlike VRevision, VRevision is built natively inside V-Ray for SketchUp and V-Ray for 3ds Max and so on. But Vantage is a standalone application, and you can export a V-Ray scene and drag and drop into Vantage, so you can explore your whole scene. And it do have some. The quality is very good because it based on ray tracing technology, ray tracing hardware. You can see the technical requirements. You need to have an NVIDIA RTX GPU to actually use Chaos Vantage. And if you have this RTX core on your GPU, then you can experience the real-time ray tracing result. So the reflection quality is much better than the rasterizing solution. So here, still this model, and I will export a V-Ray scene. I click on Asset Editor and Render to choose this exporting file and find the location. Then I click Export. You will get something like this. I'll bring it to the last frame. Yeah. You will get something like this. You export this V-Ray scene file, and this logo is our Chaos Vantage. Then I will open Chaos Vantage and drag and drop this file into that window and click Open. You can see it's loading our scene very fast and immediately using the RTX technology to retracing the lighting and reflection information. You get this real-time rendering just like that. You don't need to tweak anything. You don't need to worry about the file transfer, different file format, or the UVW or something. You can explore it in your scene, and the quality is a little bit better than VRevision because it's all ray tracing. Here, I'll take a closer look at this glass table. You can see with this ray tracing, the glass quality is very good. You can see only takes a few seconds to resolve, and you will see a quite realistic glass table. Here, I will show you. Just wait a minute. Just wait a second. The reflection and the refraction are correct. The quality is very high, and it's all happening in real time. After the resolve, the FPS will go up. Okay. And now there's another post-production feature. Here I have some LUT color correction files. I can load different color correction result. And here you can fast, hover your mouse over this different LUT preset. I will choose my favorite one. You can see this is before, this is after. You can quickly apply different LUT files. Okay, next page. So in conclusion, Chaos Vantage is a standalone real-time rendering solution, and it's pretty fast for preview rendering. And you can use it to collaborate with your clients. You can tweak anything in real time. For example, if your customer want to change some of the design, you can just show it, and you don't need to have to render another visualization image. You can do it in real time, and it saves you a lot of resources, saves a lot of time. So here, now is the Q&A section. Is there any questions about what I just showed you? You can chat in our, you can share your ideas in our chatting panel.